Healthcare and horses. All the private and government healthcare programs in all the nations, especially right now in America, could learn a great healthcare lesson from a Viking king who refused to eat his horse. The United States is in the midst of a huge debate about private versus public healthcare. No doubt many countries marvel at how late America is stepping into the socialistic pond of public healthcare. Many U.S. leaders claim that American private health care is the best in the world precisely because it is private enterprise based. Others claim that millions don't get health care unless the government provides it. And yet others counterclaim that people won't get good health care if the government does provide it. But all those health care theories and systems miss the most important point. None of them can match God's health care system. Almost 3,500 years ago, Moses was inspired to write down the divine program. 3,500 years should have been plenty of time for people to read and copy out the details. Makes you wonder, doesn't it? Knowledge of divine health care has long been around in the minds of some. There was a Viking king of Norway, Hakon the Good, who came to power about 935 AD. He had been reared in England as a Christian and the foster son of the Saxon king. Shortly after his ascension, his Viking followers held a pagan feast that featured a menu of horseflesh. The history book says, Hakon refused to partake of the horseflesh, the eating of which was forbidden by the Christian religion as it had been taught to him. Amazingly and correctly, King Hakon had learned that God had not made horseflesh for human consumption. In fact, God's healthcare system features disease prevention through a prescribed diet. You might be surprised which meats are on God's eat and don't eat lists. In fact, God's healthcare system includes, among its features, disease prevention through the prescribed diet, an active life, quarantine, cleanliness, sexual morality, and the most vital and overlooked part epitomized by Jesus himself, divine healing. That's one treatment that modern public or private healthcare systems can't provide. So the next time you're tempted to eat your horse, think of the great Viking king Hakon and don't do it. Instead, find your Bible and check out all the details of God's healthcare program and Jesus Christ's plan to make it universally available to all mankind. For GN Magazine, I'm Randy Stiver.